Sane Takaichi has won the vote to become the head of Japan's ruling party, putting her in course to become the country's first woman prime minister. She will be charged with reviving the flagging fortunes of the ruling party. Now, she was elected president of the Liberal Democratic Party after winning a vote-off against Agriculture Minister Shinjiro Koizumi, son of a former premier.
今回の総裁選は自民党が本当に変わる。
Takaichi got 185 votes against 156 votes for Koizumi in the runoff. The winner will almost certainly be approved by the parliament as Japan's fifth prime minister in as many years. Once formally elected, the 64-year-old Takaichi would be Japan's first woman premier.
Together with so many of you, we have truly marked a new era for the Liberal Democratic Party. Thank you very much.
Now, she would face a host of complex issues, including an aging population, geopolitical upheaval, a faltering economy, and growing unease about immigration. First, however, they will have to ensure that the LDP, which has governed almost non-stop since 1955, can rally voters again. Outgoing Premier Shigeru Ishiba took the reins last year, but his LDP-led coalition lost its majority in both houses of parliament, and he threw in the towel. She is one of the most conservative members of the male-dominated party. Now, on the economy, Takaichi has in the past backed aggressive monetary easing and big fiscal spending, echoing her mentor, former Premier Shinzo Abe. But she tempered her stance on the campaign trail. Takaichi, known as a China hawk, has also sounded more moderate in her views on Beijing on the campaign trail. And to discuss more, we're now being joined by James T.J. Brown from Tokyo. He's a professor of political science at the Temple University, Japan. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown, for joining us on the broadcast.
My pleasure.
Sir, Sane Takaichi is set to make history as Japan's first woman prime minister, a milestone in itself. But given her roots in the traditionalist camp of the LDP, do people really see this as a turning point? Or is there a sense that perhaps the glass ceiling has cracked without much changing on the ground?
Well, I think that's a really excellent question, because it is a turning point. The first female prime minister in a country that has been dominated by male politicians, that has quite a poor ranking when it comes to gender equality. This is a big change, having the first female leader. But at the same time, she's not a reformist. In other ways, she's a step back to an earlier era of more conservative prime ministers. And in particular, her mentor, former Prime Minister Abe Shinzo, who was Prime Minister between 2012 and 2020, she's very much going to return to some of his policies. So it's interesting. It's both a turning point and a return to the past.
It is an interesting point, but it also brings us to the bigger picture here, that if the symbolism of her rise is one thing, the substance of how she governs will be quite another. And having said that, if she does walk into the top job on October 15th, she's immediately staring down at some very tough issues there. We have an aging economy, then the economic slowdown, of course, rising tensions in the region, and the immigration worries. Now, how do you see her balancing these bold reforms with a rather conservative instincts, as you've just mentioned?
Yeah, so it's going to be exceptionally difficult. Those are the two main issues she's facing. First of all, the economy. The public's concerns about the rising cost of living, stagnant wages for a long period of time. And then the second one is about immigration. Japan has largely been, up until now, a country of very, very low immigration. That's now beginning to change, and it's leading to something of a public backlash. So one of those things she can deal with. She can take a harder line towards immigration. The other one, the economy, that's more difficult. It's not so easy to just, pull a rabbit out of the hat and change Japan's economy. So that's going to be a real struggle. And added to that, she has to do all of this without having a majority in either house of parliament. So some people think, yeah, great, she's won this, but how long is she going to be in the job? It's possible she might be another rather short-term Japanese prime minister.
Right. Of course, we'll have to wait and watch to see how Sanae Takaichi's tenure shapes up. But for now, thank you so much, Mr. Brown, for joining us on the broadcast and helping us unpack what could be a historic shift in Tokyo's political landscape.
A great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Good evening. This is Evening Sky. I'm your host, Sky. Now, Japan has its first female prime minister. What did the Japs think about that? She is a distinguished woman, from what I've read. She is enamored by the late, great Margaret Thatcher, rocking power. She wasn't perfect, but she had some really good ideas on the economy. It was just like no-brainer, like, seriously, we should have more freedom, have less controls, have more ability to move through the markets. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. Can we just have a little bit of liberty? Just a touch of freedom. Let go of the stranglehold. Let go of the government that throttles businesses. Her name is Sanae Takaichi, excuse me. Sanae Takaichi. I cannot get that. See, I'm not good with, names at all. If it's not like Smith, Jones, Williams, like William Smith, John, Ford, or something like that. But anyway, this is big news. This is big news. If it was America, oh my gosh, people would be flipping out. People would be losing their minds. If sister girl Kamala Harris, if she had won, oh my gosh, it'd be no more good. Trust me. She's not the one. She's not a Margaret Thatcher, embracer. Is that a word? She's not somebody who embraces the policies and ideas of Margaret Thatcher. This woman does. She's a metalhead. She likes metal music. She's very adept to foreign policy. I hate the language. The language is saying she's a dove on economics and a China hawk. God, I hate that. I hate it. There's so many other birds, like, oh, a hawk is a war. No, dove is peace. Oh, it's so nice. It just trips me up. But why don't they say eaglish? Eagle on something like, especially in America, because that's the national symbol for the bird. National bird as national symbol. Why don't they say eaglish? Eaglish is somebody that's for destroying all enemies and preserving life for Americans. That's eaglish. I don't know what hawkish means. What is hawkish? So I just thought this was an interesting story. Most people don't really give a goddamn apparently right now. Oh, now just when I said it, somebody actually gave a damn. Then it's gonna go back to zero. One person viewing. That's fine. But I just thought this was a cool story. I did not know about this. This is the worldly scope we have to have as Americans. We're so, enamored by our own issues and problems and things. And we should be. We should be dedicated to our own issues. That's fine. It's selfish. That's good. It's a prosperous thing. But we have to open our eyes to the world, because the world stage is because of us, really, with a sole superpower. So everybody else is like looking at us and they're like, what are they doing? What are they up to? We have to do the same for them. We have to see what they're up to. See that the first prime minister in Japanese history is going to be, leading this country. She's in the Liberal Democratic Party, the LDP, which is a weird term for things because it's like, it's almost like a it's almost like superfluous. It's almost too much. Liberals are usually Democrats in the United States. The Democratic Party is usually run by liberals, but I hate to use the word liberals. I like to use leftists because they don't deserve the term liberal, like classical liberals who want freedom in the economy, freedom in markets, freedom in speech, freedom in everything, barring, crimes or anything like that. So this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. This is a good thing. This is going to help us see if the right female comes along, because she's a Thatcher supporter. Margaret Thatcher revolutionized, businesses and the way people functioned in Great Britain. She was a stalwart for economic freedom and financial independence. What the hell? All right, so okay, I can get to that. I will get to that. I just saw something. Christopher Perkins. He's the only one. Salute to him. Salute to Christopher Perkins. And there's one other person in here somewhere. Keep doing real black political worldwide media news work daily with a very sophisticatedly analytical perspective. Your political articulation and knowledge is excellent. Appreciate it. Thank you, Christopher Perkins. See, I enjoy compliments, and I know they're sincere, but I like to hate. Hate motivates. Hate's like fuel. The compliments are like polish to a car. It's like, oh, it looks nice now. That's good. But can it run? I run on hatred. They were hating on me hard just a few weeks ago, or something like that. And I was like, yes, that's what I need. Steel sharpens steel. No resistance, and you don't get any results. That's why I say no pain, no gain. That's why they have, drill instructors and drill sergeants and all kinds of professionals who are not, hey, could you kind of make your rack? Could you just run a little faster? Thanks. Appreciate it. No, they're totally not that way. They're the exact opposite. They're yelling at you. They're screaming at you. They're throwing over your rack and emptying out your Foot Locker. That's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to get resistance. But I appreciate you, Christopher Perkins. Thank you. Make sure you tell 12,000 other people about me. Then I'll know that you're serious. Then he's gonna be like, oh well, I don't know 12,000 people. You don't have to. I'm just saying. But this Japanese story is really cool, I think. First woman prime minister, and she is a she's a supporter of Margaret Thatcher's policies. Like I said, she wasn't perfect. She didn't get everything right. But she did have a purpose for changing the guard of British politics. She has some ideas of capitalism, of introducing it into the mainstream of fabric of life in Great Britain. She had a stance. She had her own way of executing and involving the electorate and people that she worked with. She reached across the aisle. I think she was in the House. Is it the House of Commons when they go, oh yeah, they do like They shout and yell. So, I swear it's so funny. And this clip that I just showed, that clip, she's wearing like royal blue or navy blue, and she just stands out from everyone. Everyone's wearing black. She's wearing blue. I thought that was interesting. Did she know that everybody else would be wearing black? Everybody's wearing black. I'm gonna try to show if I can see it. Show it like 5 times. Hold on.
Party. Now, she was elected president of the Liberal Democratic Party after winning a vote-off against Agriculture Minister Shinjiro Koizumi, son of a former premier.
今回の総裁選は自民党が本当に変わった。
You see that? Do you see that? Black, 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 black. Maybe a little bit of red. Some black, black, black. Blue. Like, she knew that she would be standing out. Like, that's a firm suggestion of power. She knew she would be, given the reins to a Western country. They're on the east side of the geographically, but Japan has been a Western country since the end of the Second World War. It really is a Western country because it has the Western values. It has some limitations on freedom of speech, of course. It has some limitations on ownership of guns. I think it's fully limited. I don't think anybody in Japan owns guns. But for the most part, the economy was booming really in the 90s, or maybe was it the 80s? I think it was in the 80s, and in the 90s it had some trouble. And 2000, 2010s, it kind of bounced back. But she is poised to become a leader who will strengthen the economy, bring down, ways of the government being even involved in the economy. She went like Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was like, I don't want to have anything to do with the economy like that. I'm going to do very little with the economy. I'm not going to do too much. I'm not going to do anything less or more or anything. If I got that right, I understand. I'm getting this from Dr. Euron Brook. He did the research. I'm just spouting out what I took in from him. It's a piece of history that Takaichi, maybe it's Takaichi. I think it's Takaichi. Takaichi, she defeated Shinjiro Koizumi in a liberal Democratic Party leadership race runoff. Oh my God. That's a mouthful. But yeah, look at that blue. Look at that blue. Missed all that black. And it keeps going. Look at this. Black, black, gray, black, black, black.
Takaichi called
Black,
185
gray,
votes
black.
against 156 votes for Koizumi in the runoff. The
Yeah,
winner
it's
was
Takaichi. Okay, I like that. But she's just representing. She's representing for a total change in the Japanese way of life for the good, for the better. Doing what government should do, protect individual rights. I don't know the stats for crime. I don't know the stats for longevity in life. I would imagine it's long. Japan usually has like 88 years is average that you live to or something like that. Allegedly, I didn't do the research on that. But Japan usually does have longer lives than other locales around the world. including the United States of America. So, what will Takaichi do? Will she live up to her idol, Margaret Thatcher, whom she met just a few months, I think, or a few years before her death in 2013? Will she be able to, be the savior, I guess you could say? I may be putting too much sauce on it, but somebody who's gonna rein in and deploy all kinds of measures to keep businesses thriving, flourishing, human life flourishing in all her ways. Because hey, we have a president in the United States of America who's a complete complete just a moron, if there's no other word for it. He's a complete moron. And so, I mean, this woman, I'm sure she's educated. I'm sure she's highly intelligent. She has this, probably has a knack for problem solving. I think it's cool that she's a metalhead. She loves heavy metal and playing the drums. That's really cool. I wonder what her favorite band is. Is it Metallica? Is it oh God. All I can think of is Metallica right now. Are you serious? Oh my God. Oh God damn. Megadeth, and Slayer. Those are the top three. It goes Metallica, number 3, number 2, Megadeth, number 1, Slayer. She probably knows all their songs. I'm just a poser. I can't. I've listened to heavy metal. It's really like, I don't know what cocaine is like, but it's like hitting cocaine, I guess, is the feeling. When you hear metal music, especially Slayer. Slayer is like, that's why I put Metallica. Metallica's great. Metallica's, fantastic. But Megadeth is even more harsh, and I meant the word harsh. But Slayer just lays you out. And I know there are people like Takaichi who like metal, but are, in a different way. Like, you would not expect always some people to like heavy metal, like surgeons. There are surgeons that listen to heavy metal while they're performing surgeries, while they're doing operations. I always thought that was peculiar. A little bit of curiosity there. But that's a fact. And now with Takaichi, embracing the ways of her constituency or the people that are around her, she's probably going to install, an entire cabinet that's going to be for peace and unity and maybe even war. I don't know. When's the last time Japan been to war with anybody? Was it World War II? Or was it Korea? Maybe it was Korean War. I know the Koreans was with China too. Were they there in Vietnam? Was any Japanese troops in Vietnam? What about Iraq, Afghanistan, Gulf War? Were they involved? That's all I'm asking. I don't know. It seems like Japan and Germany we're like, we're good. After what happened to us, we're not trying to. We don't want no smoke. We ain't trying to get no smoke. We good. America's like, come on, man, we gotta fight. Come on, we're getting this fight. That's what we do. We fight. Everything we do is a fight. Fight, fight, fight. That's America. Japan and Germany, like, you know what y'all did to us, some heavy, it's kind of heavy. I don't know if I want to fight. But they might get entangled with the Ukraine war, or is it the Russian war? I don't know what to pronounce it as, because I know it's the Russians that invaded Ukraine, so I don't know what the proper terminology is. I do realize that Takaichi is going to be the first female prime minister. I mean, a lot of people don't like the first. Mr. George Train doesn't like first. I like first. They mean something because it's the start. You got to go back to the first one. They broke that barrier. The first one, they knocked down that door. They kicked down the door to make it available for other people to follow them. Takaichi, they're expecting her to make some noise, more so than her heavy metal days. They're expecting her to move a lot of the money, that's around Japan. And like I said, they fell off. They're like the second wealthiest nation behind the United States for a while. For a good while, they were. Then they were overtaken because of something. It has something close to do with the tariffs, but there was another kind of economic conundrum or problem that occurred, and they still haven't recovered from it. She may be the one. Like I said, she could be the savior. She could be the one to say, "Hey, well, what are we doing here? Let's change this up. Let's do something totally different. Let's do something that's special. Let's do something that creates a pathway for us to really understand our lives." That's all she has to do. Did Mexico get their first prime minister in what's her name? Let me see. I think Mexican got their first female prime minister. I think so. I'm looking around. Claudia Sheinbaum. Oh, she's the president of Mexico. Excuse me. She's not a prime minister. I think that's usually a Asian and European thing. Prime minister. She's the fourth most powerful woman in the world. Wow. I'm looking for her right now. I can't find it. I'll look it up somewhere else. I'll look for something else first. President. Yep, she is the first president. She's the first president. That would have been a trifecta, right? Mexico, Japan, and America. Tough break, Kamala. Tough break. You almost had it. But then again, you didn't. I just like the idea that she's for Margaret Thatcher. She was like 80% to 90% good. 10%, 20%, like, didn't really like that policy, didn't really like that governance. But overall, she was a hot ticket. She was pretty good. So I do acknowledge her. I think she's going to do well with life. I think she's going to do well for the people of Japan. who are our allies, who don't harbor ill will towards Americans because they dropped 2 atomic bombs on them. Imagine that. That's the reason. Oh, well, the backlash by the populace, the backlash by the people of the country. No. Germany and Japan are like, America, good day. How you doing? We don't want no smoke. We're cool. And that's what I think Takaichi is going to be. All right, I got another. This is for Spic Heritage Month, of course. I'm just going to let this play. All right, this is getting goofy. Hold on. They're just showing, oh my God, they're just showing Chapo and they're going through people I already have covered. This isn't fun. But you know what? I'll just play it. Forget it. It's not just about the... I'm looking for it right now. Give me some time. I see you, Dot Focus. One moment, sir. Salute. Let me put your banner on the screen. I'm watching this narco story. I'm about to show this Cali cartel led by 2 brothers. Let's see. Dot Focus says from there to small cities like Newark, Delaware. Yup, true and international business I'm proud to be part of. Salute. Marvelous. You want to get that Cash App? I got you, homie. Hold on. Gianni, welcome. Rick James, my man Rick James brought another person in here. Brought me here. What kind of potato? What kind of potato? I don't know what you mean. Putting it in right now. The hell? Wait a moment. I'm just trying to get this together. So salute to Marvelous. He's got the symbol. Gianni Baby Braden Day. Now he changed his name up and changed his picture. Rick James brought me here too. Let's get it. So there's two Giannis? Okay, wait a minute. What's going on? Salute to you, Gianni Baby Braden Day. Marvelous. Yes. Looking for that Cash App. If you don't mind. Appreciate you all for being here. Talking about that cocainas. That's cocaine. look for another video. Hell, why not?
Escobar was 100 times worse than I thought. He was a maniac.
Pablo told me, he said, don't ever come here and tell me you screwed up. He said, I don't even want to begin to tell you the consequences for that.
Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
Well, Gianni, baby, Braden Day. Yes, I'm familiar with Ayn Rand. I'm very familiar, going back to 2002 when I first heard her name. Then 2005, then 2007 is when I became an atheist. And that opened the door for me to become an objectivist about 4 or 5 years later when I read all of her fiction literature. And I was a student of objectivism, and then I graduated to objectivist sometime in 2011, I think. So it's been a long time. I should have let you without a dope beat to step to. It is a great show with objectivist facts, but I don't usually like to say objectivist facts. Only Ayn Rand had spouted facts from an objectivist perspective. That's the only way we can have is an objective perspective. I'm very objective. I'm not objectivist. I am an objectivist, but my work is an objectivist. Dick, I guess is the person. It's objective. To make that clear.
Era un asesino, un narcotraficante, un terrorista, pero era mi amigo.
That's one man I could have shot and never lost a minute's sleep about it.
I wanted Escobar. Did.
I'm not a fan of Sister Who. I'm nobody's fan. Especially not that show. It's way too creepy for me. The makeup is just too much. It just trips me up. He's into really trippy, weird, off the wall stuff. You know, just really nightmare fuel mostly. This fuel every piece of tension and queasiness. Really, it's very very strange kind of things from public access. But let's see this story.
During the mid-'80s, a lot of the cocaine was coming in from Colombia. We were seeing hundreds and hundreds of kilos in the streets in Miami, streets in New York. We started seeing Colombian traffickers killing other Colombian traffickers. And we always heard of one person that was sending the majority, a guy by the name of Pablo Escobar.
Poopagan, a panda.
He had his own little empire going in Colombia at this time. And 80% of the cocaine was being sent by Pablo Escobar and the Medellin cartel. And basically, Pablo was the CEO.
One of the ringleaders is thought to be one of the richest men in the world, Pablo Escobar.
You've got a man who has been estimated at being worth between $8 and $30 billion. There's just so much money to be made in that business, and it's easy money.
Whoa, let's slow it down. I'm not your bro, Poopa Panda. It's a crazy name. Zachary invited me here, then he ducked my feed. Rottweiler's balling in these streets. I got two people. There's like Gianni Baby, Braden Day, Poopa Panda, Rottweiler, Marvelous. What? Why do I only see 2 viewers? Do you guys see a different number of viewers? It's crazy. I'm going to let the video play.
For example, to produce a kilo of cocaine in Colombia, the expenses are roughly $1,000. To transport that kilo into the United States, your transportation expenses are going to be between $3,000 and $4,000 back in that day. So you've got a $5,000 investment per kilo. During that time, a kilo of cocaine in Miami would go for about $60,000 a kilo. If you got it up to New York, you might get as much as 80,000.
There's so much money involved, they didn't bother to count the money. They weighed the money. The largest seizure that we made of cocaine in San Antonio, the record seizure, was 5 kilos. In Colombia, we were seizing hundreds and thousands of kilos every week. It was a complete different scene.
For the key to our anti-drug strategy, my very reason for being here this afternoon is not to announce another short-term government offensive.
See, this is what pisses me off the most. Government not protecting individual rights, but even worse, trampling over individual rights. Our anti-drug stance. Like, that is the worst ever. It's horrific. The government should only be protecting individual rights. That's it. Not going after people that want to sell, produce and manufacture, sell and or sell or distribute or use and consume drugs. That's the sad part about all this. And they wonder why there are so many drug dealers and cartels having wars over, bundles and bundles of cocaine and other substances. It's crazy.
But to call instead for a national crusade against drugs.
The war on drugs is probably one of the most futile efforts ever. It's a monster. It took a while for the Drug Enforcement Agency to actually come to a realization of what the hell was happening.
The American drug crisis has reached such proportions that confiscating nearly 800 pounds of cocaine in Miami, or $8 million, 1 week's sales by a New York drug ring, doesn't even faze the drug lords. It's a $100 billion a year business.
This nigga said $8 million a week. Government, you mad. Federal, state, city governments, you mad. People are just trying to make some money, a lot of money. I don't see the problem with that. Mainly spics and niggers too. It's really sad.
I used cocaine for a period of time, but to be in that business, you can't use drugs and do it right.
Pablo Escobar was motivated by his own greed, by his own power.
Money goes hand in hand with power. The more money you have, the more people you can influence, the more people you can buy, the more you can be untouched, the more you can corrupt.
Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria era un asesino, un narcotraficante, un terrorista, un secuestrador, un extorsionista y un ladrón, pero era mi amigo.
He was unpredictable. The only thing you could predict is that he carried out whatever threat he made. So if he said he was going to kill somebody, he killed him.
Well, it's an old saying that marijuana business was done with a handshake and the cocaine business was done with a gun.
Escobar took the violence to a whole new level. Law enforcement was just wanting to get this guy out of the society. He was that big of a threat. You see all the senseless deaths that are being committed because of this one person. If you didn't agree with him, they would take you out without even a second thought.
I had never seen it. I'm coming from a small office in Austin, Texas. I wasn't used to this type of stuff. I always remember him saying he wanted body count. He wanted the more bodies so that way he could show Colombia that he was winning the war.
Recuerdo el día más feliz de Pablo Escobar. Allí conoció a un terrorista de la ETA que tenía la técnica de los carrombomba a control remoto. Dinamitamos un automóvil viejísimo, un Buick 54, que las latas son gruesísimas, es como blindado. Fue una cosa de locos. Primera vez que yo veo que el patrón abandona su personalidad. Felices.
Let's face it, it's a dirty, dangerous, evil business. And if you want to be the king, you know, sometimes the king has to pick up the phone and drop bombs on people.
My biggest fear was wrong time, wrong place, the car bombs.
There was a time when he set a car bomb off. The primary shoppers at that time were moms with their children buying school supplies. When you see that type of carnage and those horrific acts being portrayed against innocent people, especially children who haven't even had a chance at life yet.
Well, that's disturbing. Something, I'm not sure exactly what, maybe it's a head. Something's on the ground. That looks disturbing. But he said, you know, the peace is broken. There's no, you know, women and children are there. Nobody's doing over Jiffy peanut butter. Where's the Jiffy peanut butter trade? You know, where's the Ford F-150 fights over F-150 trucks? Where are they? These are commodities. These are on the market materials. It's very disturbing. It's a conspiracy against the mind. It's anti-life, anti-reason, anti-mind. It's all of that. And they wonder why there are all these deaths and slangs and killings in America and Mexico and around the world.
Honestly, that's one man I could have shot and never lost a minute's sleep about it.
Nosotros pensamos que Pablo Escobar era inmortal. Manejaba las situaciones apremiantes con total sangre fría.
As the government continued to build a case against Escobar, the next thing you see is we see a guerrilla group attacking the Justice Ministry, the building itself, physically attacking this building, simply so he could get in there and destroy thousands of records that might or might not contain information that would be incriminating to him. Well, how many justice ministers were killed? 7, 8? He would stop at nothing to get his own way. Multiple murders and needless deaths. And why? It was all because one man, one guy, wanted to impose his will on everybody else in that country.
En ese momento nosotros ganamos la guerra contra la República de Colombia. ¿Eso qué le costó al Estado? 250 bombas que colocamos en todo el país, a diestra y siniestra. Ya casi la destruimos económicamente, moralmente y físicamente.
Estábamos combatiendo la organización delictiva más poderosa del mundo. Y segundo, la parte ya personal, porque primero trató de asesinarme la familia en Santa Marta. Entonces ya era como una especie también de autodefensa, ¿no? Porque si yo no lo eliminaba, el tipo me eliminaba. Entonces ya se convirtió él contra el general Maza, porque era una cosa obsesiva la de él.
Nosotros no pudimos matar a Miguel Alfredo Maza Márquez. Era el hombre. Manejaba el 80% de la inteligencia en Colombia.
Pablo set off a 500-kilo bomb trying to kill one person, General Maza Marcos, who was in charge of DOS. It's the Colombian equivalent of the FBI. There were over 100 people killed in that bombing just because he wanted to kill one guy.
Donde las personas que estaban en el foco de la explosión se desaparecieron. Estalló una cosa de loco. Dejó un boquete increíble. Fue el 11 de septiembre de esa época. Fue el atentado terrorista más grande en el mundo. Fue una cosa brutal, pero falló el objetivo principal, que era matar a Miguel Alfredo Maza Márquez.
Todos murieron. Las escoltas, secretarias. Ese día fue un día muy desastroso. Bajar después 9 pisos por las escaleras viendo gente mutilada, gente pidiendo auxilio. Me marcó la vida de tal manera que yo para dormir tranquilo necesito medicina, porque sin la medicina no lo puedo hacer.
Pero realmente ahí se mostró gran poder. Pablo Escobar gana porque mostrar ese poder tan brutal de que se podía detonar una bomba de ese calibre, la sociedad colombiana, las autoridades colombianas agacharon la cabeza ante el poder de Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
Escobar was 100 times worse than I thought. He was a maniac.
Who has that audacity to order those killings? The Avianca bomb, the DOS bombing, numerous police officers, judges, Minister of Justice, presidential candidates. I wondered Escobar did.
You know, the oldest, most honorable professions in the world are prostitution and smuggling. And go back way before Christ, okay, to the Silk Road. And I don't think I really innovated any of it. I just enhanced it. The money, you know, just kept building and building it. The thrill of it was like an opiate. I couldn't get enough of it. I didn't have to sell it or try hard at it. I had the greatest advertising system in the world promoting it, the entertainment industry. $60,000 a kilo was nothing to people in that industry. And they just bought it up like candy. Even Johnny Carson would make jokes about it on TV, on his show, okay? I mean, everybody knew it. Everybody knew what was going on. Woody Allen made movies about it. Everybody laughed about it. Studio 54 was lined up for blocks. You couldn't even get in the men's room or the ladies' room because everybody was in there snorting cocaine. It was like, it was incredible. First time I met Pablo was at his ranch. It was in 1975. We flew down there in a private plane. You know, it was all business. I told him that, you know, I was experienced in transporting across Mexican borders, and I didn't see any reason why I couldn't transport it out of Colombia. And he was intrigued by that. I told him, I don't want to buy the stuff. I don't want you to front it to me. You own it. And I said, I'll charge you $10,000 a kilo to get it back into the United States. Pablo told me, he said, cocaine is poison, he said. And he said, I want you to come here and tell me someday that you lost the load because you were stoned on cocaine. He said, I don't even want to begin to tell you the consequences for that.
When I arrived in Colombia, it didn't take me very long to realize that I didn't know anything about Colombia. Bombs were going off everywhere, people getting killed left and right. By the time I was there, maybe a year, I was obsessed with Pablo. I mean, I had to get Pablo.
What we hadn't realized was that Pablo Escobar was a very charismatic person. This guy was relying on hundreds and hundreds of young kids working for him. We hadn't realized that Sicario base was so large.
Well, he's recruiting from kids that are 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. He's turning them into murderers for money. He's turning them into sicarios, into assassins.
And that is the reality of Pablo Escobar. I explained it earlier with his hippos that he brought from either United States or Africa. I'll make sure about that. But this is his exploits. He killed multiple people. He was a bloody, disgusting murderer, and not somebody to be emulated or cheered for or championed in the realm of rap music. It's just like Bonnie and Clyde. I hate Bonnie and Clyde. You can be my Bonnie. I can be your Clyde. 03 Bonnie and Clyde, Hove and B, holla. Like, oh God, it's just so disturbing. But anyway, I like to thank the people that came in. Thank you, new people. What my IP then, G. Gianni Barden, Baby Pirano. Rottweiler, Poopa, Panda. Oh, can I go higher? Come on. That, Marvelous, of course. And Dot Focus, of course. Bumba. I appreciate all of you. Make sure you trade, you share this video and all my other work. And I will appreciate that. And I will see you sometime tomorrow afternoon. Take care.